Hello children, today we are going to discuss chapter 2nd, that is matter around us pure? In this chapter we will discuss about matter and how we can separate the components of the matter. What is matter? Anything that occupies space and have its own mass is called matter. Now, how we can classify the matter? Matter is classified into two parts, that is pure substance and mixture. Mixture, we can speak impure substance also. Pure substance is divided into two parts, that is elements and compounds. Elements are further divided into three parts, that is metal, non-metal and metalloids. Mixture is divided into two parts, that is homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. True solution is the example of homogeneous mixture, whereas colloids and suspension is the example of heterogeneous mixture. What is pure substance? A pure substance is one which is made up of only one kind of particles. For example, platinum. Platinum is made up of only single type of particles. That's why this is the example of pure substance. Pure substance are of two types, that is element and compounds. What are elements? An element is a substance which cannot be split up into two or more simpler substances. It is made up of only one kind of particles. For example, iron. This iron is made up of only same kind of particles, that is iron particles. So this is the example of element. Elements are of three types, like metals, non-metals and metalloids. These are the three types of elements: metal, non-metal and metalloids. What are compounds? A compound is a substance which is made up of two and more than two elements, and these elements are chemically combined in a fixed ratio by mass. For example, water. This water is the example of compound. A compound can be broken into two and more elements, but not by physical processes. What is mixture? A mixture is a substance which is consist of two and more than two elements or compounds, but these elements and compounds are not chemically combined together. For example, mixture of salt and water. In this mixture, salt and water both are the components of the mixture, but these both components are not chemically combined. That's why this is the example of mixture. Mixture are of two types. First, homogeneous mixture, and next is heterogeneous mixture. What are homogeneous mixture? Those mixtures in which the substances are completely mixed together and particles are not distributed uniformly. Example, mixture of sugar and water. What are heterogeneous mixture? Those mixture in which the substance remains separated and the particles are uniformly distributed. Example of heterogeneous mixture is mixture of salt and water. What are solutions? Solution is a homogeneous mixture of two and more than two substances. It has a two parts. One is solute and another is solvent. What is solute? Substance in lesser quantity in solution, and we can speak which we are dissolving. That is solute. What is solvent? Substance in larger quantity in solution, and we can speak in which we are dissolving solute, that is known as solvent. For example, solution of sugar and water. In this solution, water is solvent and sugar is solute because water is in large quantity and so sugar is in little quantity. What are true solutions? Characteristics of true solutions are particle size is less than 1 nanometer. The particle will show Brownian movement and true solution does not scatter light. The particle of true solution cannot be seen by a microscope. The particles of solution passes through filter paper, so solution cannot be filtered by filtration. How many types of solutions are? There are number of types of solutions are there. Aqueous solution, solution having water as a solvent. And the solution having substance other than water as solvent is known as non-aqueous solution. A solution in which no further solute can be dissolved only at a given temperature, that is known as saturated solution. A solution in which more solute can be dissolved only at a particular given temperature, that is known as unsaturated solution. What is solubility? The maximum amount of a solute which can be dissolved in 100 grams of solvent at a specified temperature is known as the solubility of that solute in that solvent at a given temperature. What are colloids? A colloid is a solution in which the size of solute particle is between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Blood is the example of the colloid solution. What are the characteristics of colloids? A colloid appears to be homogeneous, but actually it is heterogeneous. The size of the particle in colloid is bigger than those in a true solution but smaller than those in a suspension. It is between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer in a diameter. The particles of colloid cannot seen even with a microscope. The particles of colloids can be passed through filter paper, so colloid cannot be separated by filtration. The colloid can scatter the beam of light passing through it. What are suspensions? A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the small particles of a solid are spread throughout a liquid without dissolving in it. Example of the suspension is muddy water. What are the characteristics of suspension? A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. The size of solute particles in suspension is quite large. It is larger than 100 nanometer in a diameter. The particle of suspension can be seen easily. The particle of suspension do not pass through a filter paper, so suspension can be separated by filtration. Now, we will discuss the methods of separation. How we can separate the components of a mixture. Some process of separation are evaporation, sublimation, centrifugation, separating funnel, distillation, frictional distillation, crystallization, chromatography, and electrolysis. First, we will discuss evaporation. It is a process to separate volatile substance from non-volatile substance by heating them below their boiling point. Example, salt from sea water. Next is sublimation. It is a process to separate sublime substance from a non-sublime substance by heating. In this process, solid will directly convert into gaseous form. Centrifugation. It is the process to separate minute suspended particles from liquid when spun rapidly. The heavier particles are forced to bottom and lighter ones towards the top. Example of centrifugation is separation of ghee from curd. Next is separating funnel. It is the process to separate two immiscible liquids from each other by using separating funnel. Example of separating funnel is separation of oil from water. In this case, oil is lighter, that's why oil will float on the surface, and water is heavier, that's why water will go down, and we can collect this water in another beaker. Like this, we can separate oil and water. Next process is distillation. It is a process to separate two miscible liquids from each other by heating them at their boiling points, followed by condensation. The difference between the boiling points of two liquids must be more than 25 Kelvin. Frictional distillation. It is the process to separate two miscible substances from each other by heating them at their boiling points, followed by condensation. Through frictional distillation, we can separate two substances having difference between their boiling points less than 25 Kelvin. For example, refining of petroleum. Crystallization. It is the process of separation by making pure crystals of a substance from its supersaturated solution. Example, crystals of copper sulfate, that is CuSO4. Chromatography. It is the process to separate different colors soluble in same liquid. For example, separation of drug from blood, separation of chlorophyll from leaves, and separation of color from dye. Next is electrolysis. Electrolysis is the process of separation with the help of electricity. Through electrolysis, we can separate compounds also, and in this process, direct current is passed through the substance. How we can calculate the concentration of solution? If we want to calculate the mass percent, then we need mass of solute and mass of solution. How we will calculate mass of solution? Simply we will add the mass of solute and mass of solvent, then we will get the mass of solution. So for calculating mass percent, now the formula is mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. Volume percent. How we can calculate the volume percent? For this, we need volume of solute and volume of solution. We can calculate volume of solution by adding volume of solute and volume of solvent. Now, for calculating volume percent, formula is volume of solute upon volume of solution into 100. What are physical change? The change in which only transformation of state is happen, no new substance will form, are called physical change. These changes are reversible. For example, melting of ice. What are chemical change? It is a change in which a new substance will form, and in this change the chemical properties of substance will change. These changes are irreversible. For example, cooking of food. So, dear children, this is the explanation of the chapter 2nd, that is matter around us pure? Thank you.